here. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the recitation of the United States Constitution.
Stupidest thing ever.
We, the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and ensure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Good evening to you. I am coming to you from the Western Reserve of what has become the United States of America. We begin reading the Constitution with Article 1, Section 1. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in the Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives, similar to the House of Lords and the House of Commons. Section 2. The House of Representatives shall be comprised of members chosen every second year by the people of several states. Several. And the electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. No person shall be representative who shall not have attained to the age of 25 years, close to death, and has been 7 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state in which he shall be chosen. That doesn't make any sense, but representatives' direct taxes shall be apportioned along the several states which may be included within this union, according to the representative numbers, which shall be determined by adding the whole number of free persons, including their bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed.
Ooh.
3/5 of all persons. 3/5 compromise scandal. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years after of the first meeting of the Congress of the United States and within every subsequent term of 10 years, in such a manner as they shall by law direct, and a legal immigrant shall not be counted. The number of representatives shall not exceed 1 for every 30,000, but each state shall have at least 1 representative until such enumeration shall be made. The state of New Hampshire shall be entitled to choose 3, Massachusetts 8, Rhode Island and Providence Plantation 1, Connecticut 5, New York 6, New Jersey 4, Pennsylvania 8, Delaware 1, Maryland 6, Virginia 10, north of the Carolina 5, south of the Carolina 5, and Georgia 3. When vacancies happen in the representation from any state, the executive authority therein shall be issued writs of election to fill such vacancies. The House of Representatives shall choose their speaker and other officers, and shall have the sole power of impeachment. Section 3. The Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state, chosen by the legislature thereof. For 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. Immediately after they shall be assembled in consequence of the first election, they shall be divided in equal as may be into 3 classes. The seat of the senators of the first class shall be vacated at the expiration of the 2nd year, of the 2nd class at the expiration of the 4th year, and the 3rd class at the expiration of the 6th year, so that 1/3 may be chosen every year. And if vacancies happen by resignation or otherwise during the recess, made temporary appointments until the next meeting of the legislature, which shall then fill such vacancies. No person shall be a senator who shall not have attained the age of 30 years and been 9 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state for which he shall be chosen. Still doesn't make sense. The Vice President of the United States shall be the President of the Senate and shall have no vote unless they be equally divided. The Senate shall choose their other officers and also President pro tempore in the absence of the Vice President, or he, by the way, the Vice President, referring to a gentleman. I've lost my place therein. We'll just pick up here. Wait. Wait. The Vice President of the United States shall be President of the Senate and shall have no vote unless there be equally divided. The Senate shall choose their other officers and a President pro tempore. Oh, wow. How did this repeat? Oh, well.
We love it.
The Senate shall have the power to try all impeachments. When sitting for that purpose, they shall be on oath or affirmation. When the President of the United States is tried, when this President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside, and no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to the removal of office and to disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States, but the party convicted shall nonetheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, punishment according to law. Section 4. The times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in the state by the legislature thereof. The Congress may, at any time of law, may make or alter such regulations except at the place of choosing senators. The Congress shall assemble at least once in every year, and much such meetings shall be on the first Monday in December, unless they shall be by law appointed a different day. Section 5. Each house shall be judge of the elections, returns, and qualifications of its own members, and a majority of each shall constitute a quorum to do business. But a smaller number may adjourn from day to day and may be authorized to compel the attendance of members in such manner and such a penalties as each house may provide. Each house may determine in the rules of its proceedings punish its members for disorderly behavior with a concurrence of 2/3, expel a member. Each member shall keep a journal of its proceedings and from time to time publish the same, excepting such parts as may in their judgment require secrets in the House, Chamber, and Senate, of course, and the yeas and the nays of the members of each house, of either house on any question shall, at the desire of 1/5 of those present, be entered on the journal. I request a count. For instance, neither house during the session of Congress shall, without the consent of the other, adjourn for more than 3 days, nor any other place than that in which the two houses shall be sitting. Section 6. The senators and representatives shall receive a compensation for their service to be ascertained by law, paid out of the Treasury of the United States. They shall, in all cases, except treason, felony, and breach of peace, be privileged from arrest during the attendance at the session of their respective houses. and in going to and returning from the same. And for any speech or debate in either house, they shall not be questioned in any other place. No senator or representative shall, during the time for which he was elected, be appointed to any civil office under the authority of the United States, which shall have been created, or annulments whereof shall have been increased, bringing at such time, having a difficult time reading this.
Oh no.
Any civil office under the authority of the United States which shall have been created or enumerated thereof and have been encased such time, and no person holding the office of the United States shall be a member of either house during its continuance in office. Section 7. All bills for raising revenue shall be organized in the House of Representatives, but the Senate may propose or concur with amendments on other bills. Every bill shall have passed the House of Representatives of the Senate and shall, before it becomes law, be presented to the President of the United States. If he shall sign it, but if he shall return it, with his objections to that house in which it shall have been originated, who shall enter the objections at large on their journal and proceed to reconsider it. After such reconsideration, 2/3 of the House shall agree to pass the bill. It shall be sent together with the objections to the other house, by which it likewise be reconsidered, and if approved by 2/3 of that house, it shall become law. But in all such cases, the vote of both houses shall be determined by the yeas and nays, and the names of such persons voting for and against the bill shall be entered on the journal for each house representatively. If any bill shall not return by the President within 10 days, except Sunday, the Lord's Day, after it shall be presented to him, the same shall be a law. In like manner, as if he had signed it, unless the Congress, by their adjournments, prevent its return, in which case it shall not be law. Every order, resolution, or vote to which the concurrence of the Senate and House of Representatives shall be necessary, except on a question of adjournment, shall be presented by the President of the United States, and before the Senate, before the same shall take effect, shall be approved by him or be disproved by him, shall be repassed by 2/3 of the Senate and the House of Representatives, according to the rules and limitations prescribed in the case of a bill. Section 8. The Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, excises, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. No favoritism, you New Yorkers. Two-coin money regulates the value therein and foreign coins, and fix the standard of weights and measures. To provide for the punishment of the counterfeiting of securities in the current coin of the United States, to establish the posting office and post roads, to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive rights to their respective writings and discoveries. To constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court, to punish piracies, felonies, commitments of the high seas, and offenses against the law of nations. To declare war, grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water. To raise, support armies, but no appropriation of money to that use shall be for a larger term than 2 years. To provide and maintain a navy, oh my. to make rules for the governments and regulations of the land and naval forces, to provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the common union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. To provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining, oh my, the militia, and for governing such part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States, reserving to states respectively the appointments of officers and the authority of training the militia according to the discipline prescribed by Congress. Exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such districts not exceeding 10 miles square. Can't have a horses running around larger than 10 miles.
Are you just popping in?
As may, by the secession of particular states and the acceptance of Congress, become the seat of government of the United States, and to exercise the authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislator of the state in which the same shall be, for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings and needful things. And to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution foregoing powers, nor other powers vested by the Constitution in the government of the United States or in any department of office therein. Section 9. Migration or importation of such persons as any of the states now existing shall think proper to admit shall not be prohibited by Congress prior to the year 1888, quite some time from now. But a tax or duty shall be imposed on such importations not exceeding $10 for each person. The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion of the public safety may require. No bill or of a tender or ex post facto law shall be passed. No capitation or other direct taxation shall be laid unless in the proportion of the census or numeration herein before direct to be taken. No tax or duty shall be laid on articles exported from any state. No preference shall be given by any regulatory commerce or revenue to the ports of one state over those of another. Now, nor shall vessels bound to or from one state be obliged to enter, clear, or pay duties in another. No money shall be drawn from the treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law and a regular statement of account of the recipients and exporters of all public money shall be published from time to time. No title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall be without consent of the Congress, except any present annulment, office, or title of any kind whatsoever from any king, prince, or foreign state. What does that mean? You may not accept any diamonds or pearls from a prince. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin, a tender and payment of debts, pass any bill, a tender, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contract, or grant any title of nobility. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any impost or duties on imports or exports, except that may be absolutely necessary, executing its inspection laws. And shall the net produce of the duties and imposts laid by the state on imports or exports shall be the use of the Treasury of the United States, and such laws shall be subject to the revisions and control of the Congress. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in times of peace, enter any agreement or compact with another state, or with a foreign power, or engage in war, unless actually invaded, or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. Article 2, Section 1. The executive power shall be vested in the President of the United States. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, together with the Vice President chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. Each state shall appoint in a manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators, representatives to which the state may be entitled in Congress, but no senator or representative or person holding the office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for 2 persons, of whom at least one shall not be the inhabitant of the state with themselves, and shall make a list of the persons voted for and a number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. The President of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and the House of Representatives, open all the certifications, and the votes shall be counted upon. At such counting, an insurrection will not be we crossed that out. Sorry about that. I suppose insurrection is allowed during the counting of the votes. I continue. The person shall have the greatest number of votes shall be the president. If such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed, and if there be more than one who have such majority and have an equal number of votes, then the House of Representatives shall immediately choose by ballot one of them for president, and if no person has a majority, then from the 5 highest on the list, the said House shall in like manner choose the president. But in choosing the president, the vote shall be taken by the states, and representation for each state having 1 vote. A quorum for this purpose shall consist of a member or members from 2/3 of the states, and a majority of all states shall be necessary to a choice. In every case, after the choice of the president, the person shall have the greatest number of votes, and the electors shall be the vice president. But if they shall remain 2 or more who have equal votes, the Senate shall choose from them by a ballot of the vice president. The Congress shall determine the time of choosing the electors and the day on which shall give their votes, which day shall be throughout the United States. No person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of the Constitution shall be eligible to the office of the president. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who shall not attain the age of 35 years and has been 14 years a resident within the United States. In the case of the removal of the President of the United States, or in case of his death or removal because of his death or death because of his removal, for instance, resignation or inability to discharge the power of duties of the said office, the same shall be devolved on the vice president, and the Congress may by law provide the cause of removal, death, resignation, or inability, both of the president and the vice president, declaring what office shall then act as president. And as such, officers shall act accordingly until disability be removed or a president shall be elected. The president shall, at stated times, receive for his service a compensation which shall neither be increased nor diminished during the period for which he shall have been elected. He shall not receive within that period any annulment from the United States or any of them. Before he enters on his execution of office, he shall take the following oath of affirmation. I do solemnly swear or affirm your choice that I will faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. To exercise legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district not exceeding, oh wait, we already read that one, sorry. Unfortunately, the Continental Congress has not provided me with large page numbers. Section The President shall be Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and the militia of several states. Doesn't specify which ones, it just says several. When called into the actual service of the United States, he may require the opinion in writing of the principal officer in such executive departments upon which any subject relating to the duties of the representative offices, and he shall have power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. Yes, the president may not pardon himself or herself. Poppycock! He shall have the power by which advice and consent of the Senate to make treaties, provide 2/3 of the Senate present concur, and he shall nominate and by with the advice and consent of the Senate shall appoint ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, judges of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the United States, whose appointments are not herein otherwise provided for, and which shall be established by law, but the Congress may, by law, vest the appointments in such interior offices as they think proper, in the President alone, in the courts of law, or in the heads of department. The President shall have the power to fill up vacancies that may happen during the recess of the Senate by granting commissions, which shall expire at the end of the next session. Section 3. He shall from time to time give the Congress information of the state of the Union, recommend to their consideration and measures as he shall judge necessary and expedient. He may, on extraordinary occasions, convene both houses or either of them in the case of disagreement between them with respect to the time of adjournment. He may adjourn to them to such time as he think proper. He shall be receive ambassadors and other public ministers. He shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed, and then should all commissions of all offices of the United States. Section 4. The President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Article 3. Yes. Section 1. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court. Supreme Court! My hat to you, Justice Sonia Sotomayor. And in such interior courts as the Congress may from time to time obtain and establish. The judges of both the Supreme Court and inferior courts, oh, inferior courts, how inferior you may be, shall hold their offices during their good behavior, and shall at stated times receive for their service a compensation for which shall not diminish during their continuance in office. Section 2. The judicial power shall extend in all cases, in law and equity, arise under the Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made, or which shall be made, under their authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors and other public ministers and consuls, to the cases of the admiralty, maritime jurisdiction, to Admiralty. Yes, it says Admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to their controversies to which the United States shall be a party. To the controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizen of another state, between the citizens of different states, between the citizens of the same state claiming lands under the grants of different states, and between a state or the citizens therein and foreign states, citizens or subjects. in all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, and those in which the state shall be party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction in all of the cases before mentioned. The Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction both as to law and fact, with such exceptions under such regulations as the Congress shall make. The trial of all crimes, except for in cases of impeachment, shall be by a jury, and such jury shall be held in the state wherein the said crime shall have been committed, but when not committed by any state, these trials shall be at such a place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. Section 3. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. Comfort from your enemy. No person shall be convicted of treason unless the testimony of 2 witnesses to the same overt act or a confession in open court. The Congress shall have the power to declare the punishment of treason, but no attainer of treason shall work corruption of blood or forfeiture except during the life of the person attained. Article 4, Section 1. Full faithful credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, judicial proceedings of every other state, and the Congress shall by general law prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, proceedings shall be provided and the effect therein. Section 2. The citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of the citizens in the several states. A person charged in any state with treason, felony, or other crime, who shall flee from justice and be found in another state, shall on demand of the executive author of the state from which he fled, be delivered up to the removal of the state.
What is powering that light in your cart?
Yes.
What is this? What is this magic?
It is a nighttime lantern of LED fire. Oh, damn! It's going to poke a lighting bulb. Also, this is a lighting bulb.
Sorcery.
I dropped my very expensive lighting bulb. I picked it up. It came all the way from China. Let us continue, if you do please, my good sirs and madams.
Please do.
I'm sure you'd like to hear. Maybe I'll read out loud. No person held to service or labor in one state under the law therein, escaping to another, shall, in the consequence of any law or regulation therein, be discharged from such service or labor, but shall be delivered upon the claim of the party to whom such service or labor may be due. New states may be admitted. This is Section 3 for your edification. New states may be admitted by the Congress into this union, but no new state shall be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of any other state, nor shall any state be formed by the jurisdiction of the 2 or more states or parts of states without the consent of the legislature of the state concerned, as well as the Congress. The Congress shall have power to dispute of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting of the territories or properties belonging to the United States, and nothing in the Constitution shall be so constructed as to prejudice any claim to the United States or any other particular state. Section 4. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion and an application of the legislature or the executive when the legislature cannot be convened against domestic violence. The Congress, whenever 2/3 of both houses shall deem it necessary, shall propose amendments to this Constitution or the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states shall call a convention for proposing amendments, which in either case shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of the Constitution when ratified by the legislature of 3/4 of the several states or by convention in 3/4 therein as the one or more modes of ratification may be proposed by the Congress, provided no amendment be made prior to the year 1808, shall in any manner affect the first and fourth clauses in the 9th section of the first article, and that no state, without its consent, shall be deprived of its equal suffrage in the Senate. Article 6. All debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be as valid against the United States under the Constitution as under the Confederation. This Constitution and the laws of the United States shall be made in pursuance therein, and all treaties made or which be made under the law of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound therein. Thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. The senators and representatives before mentioned and the members of the several states legislatures and all executive and judicial members, both the United States of several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. Article 7. The ratification of the conventions of 9 states shall be sufficient for the establishment of this Constitution between the states to ratify the Congress. Done in the convention of the unanimous consent of the states present the 17th day of September in the year of our Lord 1787. And the independence of the United States of America, the 12th in witness wherein we have hereunto prescribed our names, Go Washington, President, and Deputy from Virginia. You'd think if he would be our first and most noble president, he could write his entire name and title, but no. New Hampshire, John Langdon and Nicholas Gilman. Massachusetts, Nathan Gotham and Rufus King. Connecticut, William Sam Johnson, Roger Sherman. New York, Alexander Hamilton. His name is Alexander Hamilton. Just you wait. New Jersey, Will Livingston, David Rarely, Woman Peterson, Jonah Dayton. In the Pennsylvania, B. Franklin. Must be related to B. Arthur. West Mifflin, Robert Morris, Geo Clymer, Thoth Fitzman, Jared Ingersoll, James Wilson, and Govan Morris. Delaware, Geo Reed, Gunning Bedford, John Dickinson, Richard Bassett, Jaco Broom. I had a Jaco Broom one time. excellent products. Married Anne, James McHenry, Anne of St. Thomas, Jennifer, Denell Carroll, Virginia, John Blair, James Madison Jr., north of the Carolina, Woman Blamont, Richard Dobbs Spate, Who Williamson, south of the Carolina, J. Rutledge, Charles Cotsworth, Pickney, Pinkney, Charles Pickney, Pierce Butler, Georgia, William Few, Abram Baldwin, attest, William Jackson, secretary. In convention Monday. Oh, it's a diary entry. Diary, September 17th, 1787. Present, the states of New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Mr. Hamilton from New York. Suppose that refers to Alexander Hamilton. His name is Alexander Hamilton. Just you wait. New Hampshire, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, north of the Carolina, south of the Carolina, and Georgia. Resolved that the preceding Constitution be laid before the United States in Congress assembled, and that in the opinion of the Congress of this convention, that it shall afterwards be submitted to a convention of delegates chosen in each by the people thereof, under the recommendation of its legislature for their assertion and ratification, and that each convention attaining to and ratifies the same should give notice therein of the United States in Congress assembled. Resolved, this is the opinion of the convention, that as soon as the conventions of 9 states shall ratify this Constitution, the United States in Congress assembled should fix a day on which electors should be appointed by the states which shall be ratified the same, and on a day on which the election should be assembled to vote the president, and the time and place for commencing proceedings under the Constitution, that after publication of the electors shall be appointed, and the senators and representatives elected, that the electors shall meet on the day fixed for the election of the president and shall transmit their votes certified, signed, sealed, and directed. As the Constitution requires, to the Secretary of the United States in Congress assembled, that the senators and representatives should convene at the time and place assigned, that the senators should be appointed a president of the Senate for the sole purpose of receiving, opening, and counting the votes for the president, and that after he shall be chosen, the Congress, together with the president, should, without delay, proceed to execute this Constitution. By the unanimous order of the convention, go Washington, President W. Jackson, Secretary. The amendments to the Constitution of the United States Preamble. Congress of the United States begun and held at the city of New York on the Wednesday of the 4th of March, 1789. The convention of a number of states having the time for their adopting the Constitution expressed a desire in order to prevent misconstruction or abuse of its powers that further declaratory and restrictive clauses be added, and as extending the grounds of the public confidence in the government will be best ensure the benefits of its institution. Resolved by the state of House of Representatives of the United States of America, and in Congress assembled 2/3 of the houses concurring, that the following articles be proposed to the legislature of several states: amendments to the Constitution of the United States, all or any of which articles be ratified by 3/4 of the said legislature to be valid to all intents and purposes, and part of the Constitution vis-a-vis. Articles in addition to and amendments of the Constitution of the United States of America proposed by the Congress and ratified by the legislature of several states pursuant to the 5th article of the original Constitution. Amendment 1. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise therein, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for redress or grievance. Article 2, we tried to take this out, didn't work. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Later, this was amended when the National Guard was established, I believe. Amendment 3, no soldier shall in time of peace be quarantined in any house, quartered in any house, without the consent of the owner, or in any time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. The rights of the people to, Article 4, the rights of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizure shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued on probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless a present or indictment of the grand jury, except in cases arising in land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the time of offenses to twice be put in jeopardy of life or limb. Double jeopardy, Alex Trebek. Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case be witness against himself, not to be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Article 6. In the criminal prosecutions of the accused shall enjoy right to a speedy and public trial by any impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have previously ascertained by law and to be informed by nature of cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. Amendment 7. In suits at common law, wherein the value of controversy shall exceed $20, the right of a trial by jury shall be perceived, and no tried by a jury shall otherwise re-examine in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law. Amendment number 8. Excise bail shall not be required, nor excessive bail should not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishment inflicted. Amendment 9. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. Amendment 10. The powers not delegated to the United States of the Constitution by the Constitution, nor prohibited by its states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Thus concludes the Bill of Rights. We continue on with Amendment 11, passed by Congress March 4th, 1794, ratified February of the 7th, 1795. The judicial power of the United States shall not be construed to extend to any suit in any law or equality commenced or prosecuted against of one of the United States by citizens or another state, or citizens or subjects of a foreign state. Amendment number 12, ratified by Congress December 9th, 1803, ratified June the 15th, 1804. The electors shall meet in the respective states and vote by ballot for president and vice president, one of whom at least shall not be inhabitant of the state with themselves. They shall name in their ballot the person voted for as president, and in distinct ballots The person shall voted for as vice president, and they shall make distinct lists of persons voted for as president, and all persons voted for as vice president, and all number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. The President of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and the House of Representatives, open all certifications, and the votes shall be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes for president shall be president. If such a number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed, and if no person have such a majority, then from such person have the highest number not exceeding 3 on the list of those voted for as president. The House of Representatives shall choose immediately by ballot the president. But in choosing the president, the vote shall be taken by states, the representatives from each which have 1 vote. A quorum for each purpose shall consist of members of a member or members from 2/3 of the states. And a majority of all states shall be necessary to a choice. And if the House of Representatives shall not choose a president wherein the rights of the choice shall devolve upon them, before the 4th day of March next following, then the vice president shall act as president, and in the case of death or other constitutional disability of the president. The person having the greatest number of votes as vice president shall be the vice president. If such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed, and if no person have a majority, then the 2 highest numbers on the list. The Senate shall choose a vice president, a quorum for the purpose consisting of 2/3 of the whole number of senators, and a majority of the whole number shall be necessary to a choice. But no person constitutionally ineligible to the office of president shall be eligible to that of vice president of the United States.
I feel like we've really lost some accent here. I need you to really, really lean back in.
Excuse me. I have not departed from my original American accent. May I continue, sir?
I yield my time.
Thank you, sir. I yield the rest of my time to myself, wherein I shall consume such time to myself. Good sir. Amendment number 13, passed by Congress, June 31st, 1865, ratified December 6th, 1865. Section 1, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime wherein for the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Section 2, Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Amendment number 14, passed by Congress June 13th, 1866, ratified July 9th, 1868. Section 1, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction therein are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law that shall abridge the privileges or immunities of the citizen of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Section 2, representatives shall be apportioned among several states according to their representative numbers, counting the whole number of persons in each state, excluding Indians not taxed. But when the rights to vote any election for the choice of electors for the president and vice president of the United States, representatives in Congress, the elective and judicial officers of a state, or the members of the legislature thereof, is denied to any of the male inhabitants of each state, being 21 years of age, and citizens of the United States or in any way abridged, except for participation in rebellion or other such crime. The basis of representation therein shall be reduced in proportion of which the number of such males shall bear to the whole number of male citizens 21 years of age in each state. Section 3, No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of the president and the vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as a member of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or as an executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. Section 4. The validity of such public debts of the United States authorities by law, including debts incurred for payments of pensions and bounties for services in suppressing insurrections or rebellions, shall not be questioned. But neither the United States nor the states shall assume or pay any debts or obligations incurred in aid of insurrection or rebellion against the United States, or any claim for the loss of an emancipation of any slave, but all such debts, obligations, and claims shall be held illegal and void. Section 5. The Congress shall have the power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article. Amendment of 15, passed by Congress February 26, 1869, ratified February the 3rd, 1870. Section 1. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or of any state on the account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Section 2. The Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Amendment 16, passed by Congress July the 2nd, 1909, ratified February the 3rd, 1913. That one took them a while. The Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes on incomes from whatever source derived without appropriate appropriament among the several states and without regard to any consensus or numeration. Amendment 17, passed by Congress May the 13th, 1912, ratified April 8th, 1913. The Senate of the United States shall be comprised of 2 senators from each state, elected by the people therein for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. The electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. When vacancies happen in the representation of any state in the Senate, the executive authority of such state shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies, provided that the legislature of any state may empower the executor thereof to make temporary appointments until the people fill the vacancy by the electors as the legislature may direct. This amendment shall not be construed as to affect the election or term of the senator chosen before it becomes a valid part of the Constitution. Amendment 18. I might pause for a mere drink in celebration of Amendment 18. It's water, don't worry.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
Passed by Congress on December of the 18th, 1917, ratified January the 16th, 1919. Section 1. After 1 year from the ratification of this article, the manufacture, sale, or transportation of intoxicating liquors within, the importation thereof into, or exportation thereof from the United States and all territories subject to the jurisdiction thereof for the beverage purposes is hereby prohibited. Section 2. The Congress and several states shall have concurrent power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Section 3, this article shall be inoperative unless it has been ratified as an amendment to the Constitution by the legislatures of several states, as provided in the Constitution within 7 years from the date of submission hereof to the state by the Congress. Amendment 19, passed by Congress June the 4th, 1919, ratified August the 18th, 1920. The rights of the citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on the account of sex. The Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Article 20, or as I call it, Dos Equis, passed by Congress March the 2nd, 1932, ratified January the 23rd, 1933. Section 1. The term of the President and the Vice President shall end at noon on the 20th of January, and the terms of the Senators and Representatives at noon on the 3rd day of January of the year in which such terms would have ended if this article had not been ratified, and the terms of their successors shall then begin. Section 2. The Congress shall assemble at least once in every year, and at such meetings shall begin at noon on the 3rd day of January, unless they shall by law appoint a different day. Section 3. If at the time fixed for the beginning of the term of the President and the President-elect shall have died, the Vice President-elect shall become President. If the President shall not have been chosen before the time fixed for the beginning of the term, or if the President-elect shall have failed to qualify, then the Vice President-elect shall act as a President until a President shall be qualified. And the Congress may, by law, provide for the case wherein neither a President-elect nor a Vice President shall have qualified, declaring who shall then act as President, or in a manner in which one or who is to act shall be selected. And such person shall act accordingly until the President or Vice President shall have qualified. Section 4. The Congress may, by law, provide for the case of death of any of the persons from whom the House of Representatives may choose a President whenever the right of choice shall have devolved upon them, and for the case of the death of any of the persons from whom the Senate may choose a Vice President whenever the right of choice shall have devolved upon them. Section 5. Sections 1 and 2 shall take effect on the 15th day of October following the ratification of this article. Seems to me like they didn't even need a section. They could have just said beginning on this day, but Section 6, this article shall be inoperable unless it has been ratified as an amendment of the Constitution by the legislatures of 3/4 of the several states within 7 years from the date of its submission. Amendment 21. I will not have a drink to this. Section 1, the 18th Amendment of the United States Constitution is hereby I will begin again. I'm so flabbergasted.
To start up my car, whatever that is. I'm getting rather weary. I'm rather weary.
You've made it so. You're doing great, Sir Adams of Godfrey.
This article shall be inoperable unless it is. Wait, where am I? Oh yes, passed by Congress. The 18th Amendment of the to the Constitution of the United States is hereby repealed. Section 2, the transportation, importation into the state, territory, or possession of the United States for delivery or use therein of intoxicating liquors in violation of the laws there is hereby prohibited. Article 3, this article shall be inoperable unless it has been ratified as an amendment of the Constitution by conventions in the several states as provided in the Constitution within 7 years from the date of submission hereon to the states of Congress. Amendment 22, passed by Congress March the 21st, 1947, ratified February the 27th, 1951. This also took quite some time to ratify. No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice, and no person who has held the office of the president or acted as president for more than 2 years of the term to which some other person was elected president shall be elected to the office of president more than once. But this article shall not apply to any persons holding the office of president when this article was proposed by the Congress, and shall not prevent any person who may be holding the office of president or acting as president during the term with which this article becomes operative from the holding of the office of president or acting as president during the remainder of such term. Section 2. The article shall be inoperable unless it has been ratified as an amendment to the Constitution by the legislatures of 3/4 of the several states within 7 years from the date of its submission to the states by the Congress. Amendment 23, passed Congress June the 16th, 1960, ratified March the 29th, 1961. Section 1, the district constituting the seat of government of the United States shall appoint in such manner as Congress may direct a number of electors of president and vice president equal to the total number of senators and representatives in Congress to which the district would be entitled to if it were a state, which it's not. But in no event more than the least populous state, they shall be in addition to those appointed by the states, but they shall be considered for the purpose of the election of the president and vice president to be electors appointed by a state. And they shall meet in the district and perform such duties as provided by the 12th article of the amendments. Section 2, Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Amendment 24, passed by Congress August the 27th, 1962, ratified January the 23rd, 1964. Section 1. The rights of citizens of the United States to vote in any primary or other election for president or vice president, for electors for president or vice president, or for senators or representatives in Congress shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state by reason of failure to pay poll tax or other tax. The Congress, Section 2, the Congress shall have power to enforce this article by legislative adoption. Amendment 25, passed by Congress July the 6th, 1965, ratified February the 10th, 1967. Section 1, in the case of the removal of the president from office or his death or resignation, the vice president shall become president. Whenever there is a vacancy in the office of the president shall nominate a vice president who shall take office upon confirmation by a majority vote of both houses of Congress. Section 3, whatever the president transmits to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of House of the Representatives have written declaration that he is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office until he transmits to them a written declaration to the contrary. Such powers and duties shall be discharged by the Vice President as acting president. Section 4, whenever the President, Vice President, and a majority of either the principals, officers of the executive departments of such other bodies as Congress may have provided by law, transmit to the President pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of the Representatives the written declaration that the President is unable to discharge the powers and the duties of his office, the Vice President shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the President as acting President. Thereafter, the President transmits to the President pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives his written declaration that no inability exists. He shall resume the powers and duties of his office unless the Vice President and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive department or of such other body of Congress may by law provide. Transmit within 4 days to the President pro tempore of the Senate and the House of Representatives and the Speaker of the House of Representatives their written declaration that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. Thereupon, Congress shall decide the issue, assembling within 48 hours for that purpose, if not in session. If Congress within 21 days after receipt of the latter written declaration, or if Congress is not in session within 21 days after Congress is required to assemble, determined by 2/3 vote of both houses that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the vice president shall continue to discharge the same as acting president. Otherwise, the president shall resume the powers and duties of his office. Passed by Congress, Amendment 26. Passed by Congress March the 23rd, 1971, ratified July the 1st, 1971. Section 1, the right of the persons of the United States who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of age. The Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Amendment 27. Proposed September the 25th, 1789, but ratified May the 7th, 1992. Well, that one takes the cake for the longest amendment to ratify. No law bearing the compensation for the services of the senator and representatives shall take effect until the election of representatives shall have intervened. The end.
Incredible, 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 incredible.
Huzzah! Huzzah!
Woo!
Huzzah!
Amazing.
Huzzah!
I have never understood our country better. Incredible.
Well done, sir.
I tip my dandy tail to you.
I'm very
Just like the framers did.
yes. Wow. Wow.
We all know now that reading the United States Constitution in a